A big percentage of my work is elopements and weddings. I live in Las Vegas, the wedding capital of the world. And yeah, it's a very sought after place to get married. Now, I know I don't look like a typical wedding photographer, if there is even such a thing, but I don't do the big traditional weddings. I don't do the ones where photos and the couple look rigid and stuffy, where they invite 200 plus people and they don't know more than half of them. The ones where someone's auntie is telling you how to do your job. No, those aren't for me. I like the intimate ones, the carefree ones, the ones where the couple is going to take a shot of tequila in the parking lot or get matching tattoos after their ceremony. The ones that don't take life too serious, maybe they bring some of their friends and they just want to have a good time on their wedding day. That's what I like. I've been shooting weddings for the last 4 to 5 years. For the past 1 to 2 of those years, I've been mixing in film with my digital photography packages, mixing both of those mediums together. At the start of 2024, I cut out the digital part of my wedding packages. It was getting too much to juggle my Canon R3 and like 4 film cameras. Switching back and forth between digital and analog just got to be too much. Also, it's apparent to me that everyone wants the look and vibe of film for their wedding. I'm pretty confident going into making this decision, but there are definitely a few things I've learned along the way. Since switching my weddings to film only, it's a huge risk because digital is my safety net. I can look at my settings in real time. I can review my photos in real time, adjust anything as needed, and make sure everything is kosher. I wanted to challenge myself and feel like an accomplished photographer. I feel like an accomplished artist. Could I shoot weddings strictly on film and be good at it? I wanted to challenge myself. Let's get into what I've learned along the way since switching to film only cameras. I make sure to always bring extra cameras with me. I will either have various films in various cameras. I bring extra cameras just in case something were to happen. Batteries die and I don't happen to have any extra batteries on me. It's sometimes maybe easier just to grab a different camera, load up another roll of film, or if there's already a certain film in it, just grab that, shoot with that, and then figure it out later when I'm not, directly with my client, since time is of the essence and I only have that client for a certain amount of time. Sometimes it's easier to just deal with those camera troubles after the fact when I can sit down and figure out what might be wrong. Using a mix of 35 millimeter and 120, the quality of medium format is insane. That has got to be a game changer for me. Recently picked up the Contax 645, which you can see behind me here. I am so impressed with the quality of my scans and I'm in love with it. Like hands down. If you're not sure, shoot it again. Since I can't review my photos and moments are so precious, I rather shoot that moment again to make sure I have it. Maybe my flash didn't fire. Maybe someone's blinking. Maybe a little bit of wind blew hair into her face. Happened to fidget or talk right as I hit that shutter button. These things happen way more often than you think. So I rather have 3 of the same photo or sequence and then obviously send the best one to my clients. Hair is blowing wind in your face. Wind is blowing hair in your face. Maybe I don't like that particular film stock for this situation I'm in. Shoot it again. Focus. Focusing manually or manually focusing can take a little bit of time to dial in, especially when shooting multiple people and trying to keep the flow and moments candid. I don't have a ton of time to sit there and hold this camera and get focused. So I need to find the balance between being efficient and also letting those natural moments happen to get that little split second moment in case it's gone forever or they move, they take their hand away from their face or they stop laughing. That has been a huge learning curve to find the balance between patience with focusing and also speeding up and getting that distance dialed. Point and shoots are tough in their own way. since focusing is based on distance and a little bit of luck. But focusing or having to focus has really slowed me down in a good way to really be intentional with my shots and my framing, settings, and film. I have to be really intentional with my settings and the film I'm using for when and which situation, especially because I do not have a light meter. I either rely on my camera's internal light meter. Thankfully, most of them work. Or in my point and shoots, I rely on the film speed. For example, my Nikon EM here is an aperture priority camera, and the internal light meter doesn't work anymore. So the shutter fires at like 1/1000th, which is not ideal in almost every situation outside of it being high noon. With that in mind, knowing I've underexposed more shots than I'd like to admit, I need to be aware of this camera and what film I'm using in which situation. Knowing that the light meter doesn't work, I'm most likely gonna throw an 800 speed film in here. I'm most likely going to overexpose it by a stop. And if that situation doesn't favor me or favor this camera, then I'm just going to put it to the side and not use it. I'm going to switch to a different camera and come back to this. That's definitely a big thing I've learned along the way with so many different cameras, and all of these cameras being 40 plus years old, 50 plus years old, all of them having their own quirks, things that work and don't work. Bad conditions like harsh lighting actually favor film, in my opinion. Shadows and harsh lighting on someone's face are not as bad compared to digital. I try to always be overly prepared, even if it is a little cumbersome or obnoxious to load up my bag, load up my Pelican with 8 different cameras and more film than I need. That's just the nature of it. I mean, it's the same thing. You don't show up to a shoot with just one SD card, right? You definitely, at least I think, you definitely have multiple on you. Shoot it all. That's my biggest advice. If you're a film photographer and you want to shoot more gigs, or you're a wedding photographer and you want to add film to your packages or just learn film, yeah, no matter which situation you're in, figure it out as you go. Maybe take that lightly, as far as don't just show up and try to shoot someone's wedding on film if you have no prior experience either shooting weddings or film. But you understand what I'm saying. Sorry about that. Camera died. But anyway, like I was saying to wrap things up, Jesus. Anyway, like I was saying to wrap things up, I think that it's just a natural evolution of any artist to constantly try to challenge yourself, to learn new things. Now, film isn't new to me. I've been shooting it for a handful of years, but in this situation of shooting these very important moments on something that is a very old format, also a very finicky format. Interesting, I guess I would say. I've learned quite a bit of things along the way that I thought I knew, or certain situations arise. Documenting weddings on film has excited me. It's inspired me, and it's also humbled me as a photographer. Not every shot is going to be bangers as much as we would all hope. I'm loving this new chapter. I look forward to documenting more elopements, weddings, and moments on 35 and 120 millimeter. Shout out to all my couples for trusting in me, allowing me to document these moments with them, for them. If you're one of my couples and you see your photos, say hello. Without you guys paying me to take photos, I wouldn't have a job and I would be homeless. And just let me do what I think I'm good at. And I'd like to think I'm good. I guess my work speaks for itself, even though art is subjective. As always, thanks again for watching. Hopefully this was interesting to you as other photographers. Yeah, this has just been fun. YouTube's been a lot of fun for me to just sit down, talk to the camera, but also a way for me to reflect on things. If you got something to chat about, let me know. I'm done. I'm rambling way too much. I went off script, ran out of notes. I'm almost out of coffee.